Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Yo, the new Muhammad Ali Act, it's got people out here kind of scratching their heads. They don't know what to think. Now, if you want to know more about it, there's an article that's published here on boxingscene.com. Pretty interesting article. I'm going to actually go over some of it. But y'all feel free to go to boxingscene.com and read up on it. There are a lot of interesting things going on here. Now, I'm going to kind of skim over the article a bit. But you guys, like I said, go on out there and read up on it yourself. Now, a bipartisan effort has moved the Muhammad Ali American Boxing Revival Act, and it's closer to reality. I said this a long time ago. When I saw some of the Riyadh seasoned reps at an MMA event with Dana White, and I saw them sitting there, and Donald Trump was there. When I saw that, I said, shit, you got Dana White, guys from Saudi Arabia, and Donald Trump at an MMA event sitting together. I said, there's something political about to take place. And I'm not just talking about the Muhammad Ali Act. I knew there were going to be some kind of business deals taking place. And that's what we saw, where the United States now has a sovereign wealth fund. There's been billions of dollars poured into the United States. And as far as what the United States has done for Saudi, I'm not 100% sure. But I think when it comes to sports, there's been I think certain things have been allowed. Okay? Now, when it comes to the Muhammad Ali Act, I just want to sit back and just watch. I want to watch how everything plays out. Because one of its latest amendments should please the wide spectrum of the sports followers who don't like the idea of having a whole bunch of belts. Now, when it comes to the Muhammad Ali Act, advanced by the Education and Workforce Committee per the article on boxingscene.com by a 30-4 vote to the House of Representatives, stipulates that a sanctioning organization or unified boxing organization shall award only one championship title for each weight class. Now, that right there is what has all these sanctioning bodies losing their damn minds. And as we progress through this article, you'll understand why. But just remember, a sanctioning organization or unified boxing organization shall award only one championship title for each weight class. That's going to destroy the WBA, IBF, WBC, and WBO. It's going to kill them. Now let's continue with this article, right? Matter of fact, let me just go here so you can follow along with me. Let me do this. Okay, check this out. An interim belt would only be awarded in the case of an injury or illness to a reigning title holder, refusal or inability by the reigning title holder to defend their title, or for reasons beyond the control of the boxer, including inability to travel. Otherwise, the days could be numbered for the current landscape in which the WBA has at times awarded more than 40 active belts in 17 weight classes, with the sanctioning body charging champion fighters up to a 3% fee to win the strap. So let's just look at this. 40 belts, 17 weight classes. They're getting a 3% fee on all of those belts. That's why they want all the belts always in rotation and always being defended, because the sanctioning bodies are sitting here making money hand over fist. Now, it says here that the WBO officials did not, boxing scene tried to contact him, and the sanctioning bodies didn't respond to him. Of course not, I wouldn't either. It says the WBO president, Gustavo Oliveri, said his sanctioning body has, for many years, followed the revised ground rules proposed in Wednesday's hearing in Washington. Not only does that benefit the fighters, it benefits everyone, Oliveri told Boxing Scene. It benefits the legitimate full champion, because if under that champion you have a secondary and or an interim champion or a champion in recess or regional champion, it undermines the credibility of that particular champion and the sanctioning body, and it confuses the fans, the public. I agree with this in that regard. The WBO president, Gustavo Oliveri, said that he agrees with this. Okay. Oliveri, a licensed attorney, has been vocal in his response to these proposed new federal regulations that will allow the new Zuffa boxing promotion to rank fighters and award its own belt to the boxers it keeps in its stable, with many company executive and UFC president, CEO Dana White, saying he doesn't intend to work with the four sanctioning bodies and rival promoters. That's why De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn are going off right now. Belts matter is a common refrain from Oliveri. Finding common ground on the point that fewer belts matter could soothe the entry of Zuffa Boxing, which produces its debut card with new streaming partner Paramount and Friday night at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Last month, 5-division champion Crawford fought on Zuffa's first show versus Canelo in September, capturing the undisputed super middleweight title, was stripped of his WBC belt after not paying $300,000 in sanctioning fees from a reported $50 million purse. Crawford proceeded to rip the WBC for overcharging fighters. Hey, I don't blame Crawford for this shit at all. I really don't. But I also feel like, hey, the WBC kind of, they made arrangements to allow Crawford to go forward and fight Canelo. Some are going to agree, some are going to disagree. I kind of agree with both sides on this. But I do think the WBC is greedy. I'll put it to you that way. But the WBC president, Suleiman, said his organization will abide by whatever rules the U.S. institutes on the matter. Suleiman ain't happy, I'll tell you that. Currently, the WBC has 24 full and interim champions and 3 vacancies in 18 weight classes, not counting special and regional belts. Oh yeah, they got all kind of shit. They even got something called a pearl belt. Amir Khan won that bullshit. I don't know. I was like, what the hell is a pearl belt? But the WBC has the affiliation of 176 countries in the world and we respect the laws of each country. Suleiman told BoxingScene.com, the WBC respects the autonomy and jurisdiction of the federal federations or local boxing commissions where a WBC title fight is contested. We have to study what this is all about and look into it. In a prepared statement issued following Wednesday's session, the bill's co-author, Republican Brian Jack, said he was pleased with the improvements to the bill, which also included increasing the proposed minimum payment per round for boxers from $150 to $200, expanding the proposed minimum medical coverage from $25,000 to $50,000, updating the proposed timelines and frequency requirements for mandatory medical testing, including eye exam, blood work, brain health testing, and related evaluations. Then you had Republican Ilhan Omar won these amendment adoptions, mandating that boxer contracts be no longer than 6 years. Who the hell would sign with something longer than 6 years? Shit. Updating the proposed free agency provisions to allow boxers beginning 30 days prior to the expiration of their contracts to initiate contact with other UBOs or promoters. Establish that in the absence of a bout within any 6-month period, a boxer is entitled to compensation equal to 10 times the minimum per round compensation of $200. Let me read that again. Establishing that in the absence of a bout within any 6-month period. So if they don't get a fight within a 6-month period, a boxer is entitled to compensation equal to 10 times the minimum per round compensation of $200. Also, if they can't get them a fight, they still get paid, so they're not out here broke and going homeless. Okay. The committee's adoption of these amendments is reflective of my desire to create legislation with broad bipartisan support to revive one of America's greatest sports in the name of one of its greatest champions, Muhammad Ali, what Jack wrote. Today represents a critical step toward passage of the first update to federal boxing law in over a quarter century, and this legislation is now positioned for consideration by the full United States House of Representatives with strong bipartisan support. Damn. Yo, everybody has an idea. But this is what gets me. I never thought about this. This shit right here. Right here. The WBA has at times awarded more than 40 active belts in 17 weight classes, with a sanctioning body charging the champion up to 3% fee to win the strap. 40 belts, 17 weight classes, up to a 3% fee. And this just keeps going. I mean, year after year, fight after fight, these guys are getting that ching, Wu-Tang cream, dollar bill, y'all. That is crazy. So all the sanctioning bodies are doing something like that. But the one thing that really stands out to me here that I really like, I like this. Establishing right here that in the absence of any bout, let me highlight it, within any 6-month period, the absence of a bout within a 6-month period, a boxer is entitled to compensation equal to 10 times the minimum per round compensation of $200. Yo, that's crazy. But that's good. Now, there's a lot more to it. Right here, I was reading this. Y'all could check this out, right? I was sitting here checking this out. This is on BoxingScene.com. Eddie Hearn, rivalry with Zuffa gets real, and he's ready to fight. And there's a reason why he's ready to fight, okay? He and Dana White have never seen eye to eye. But what really got, I think, Eddie Hearn going is that Zuffa Boxing was able to seize an asset that was formerly aligned with, Eddie Hearn. I'm talking about Jaya Pataya, the IBF Cruiserweight title holder. Even I was wondering how the hell did they get Jaya Pataya. But this is the issue for Eddie Hearn. He's looking at it, he's saying, he has more prize fighters who are about to become free agents. And Bam Rodriguez is a superstar. And then Diego Pacheco is another superstar. And Diego Pacheco is about to fight, he's supposed to be fighting Hamza Shiraz. I don't know what's going to happen, but those are two superstars, man. And more than likely, they could go over to Zuffa Boxing. There's no loyalty in boxing, but it shouldn't be. I remember when I was getting ready to retire, the briefing that we went to, they told us, man, if you guys get hired by someone and there's someone else going to pay you more money, don't feel bad to leave the company. Because when they have to make cutbacks and stuff, and if they got to cut your position, they're not going to care about your wife and your kids. They're thinking about themselves and their business. So you do what's best for you. And I think in this case, the fighters are going to do what's best for them. And if Zuffa Boxing offers the best, deal, why wouldn't they go there? But that's what Eddie Hearn's worried about. He's like, shit, they could sit here and just one by one, man, just pluck off all my guys. And that could happen. So it was this past Thursday, after Hearn directed a news conference for Saturday's night for the DAZN stream IBF lightweight title. Andy Cruz and Murataya. He started to talk and he said, I think they'll go after a number of fighters. That's funny that he said that about boxing, Zuffa boxing. And then he said it's all very confusing. Their narrative and that messaging is all over the place. I actually don't think they know what they're doing. I mean, that's not going to help Eddie Hearn by making statements like that. You know, he's referencing the contrast in Zuffa originally pushing the message that it wanted to stage fights among boxers under its own banner. Well, this is the thing. It's a work in progress. So they're going to continue to make refinements until they get a final product. So I don't think, I guess people can do what they want. Eddie Hearn, De La Hoya, these other promoters, I think they should be careful of what they're saying. I'm not telling them not to be true to themselves, but you come out saying a bunch of shit about Turki Al-Sheikh and Zuffa boxing, you know, they could leave these guys out in the cold and it's going to suck for them. But he even says here, is it him? Yeah. On one hand, it's like we're not recognizing any belts. And on the other hand, with Jai, we're doing a unification, which they won't get. They'll just get random fights, Hearn said in reference to currently unified cruiserweight champion Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez being promoted by White's longtime antagonist Oscar De La Hoya. As for Friday's Zuffa boxing card, Caleb Wash with unbeaten middleweight Misael Rodriguez, and unbeaten welterweight Kane Sandoval filling out the top three bouts. Hearn asked, what is going on Friday night? This is just Eddie Hearn doing what he does. Stirring up shit. He says, is it the start of their league awarding Zuffa belts, or is it just some random fights? What's the narrative? If you're not pushing belts, then you're not pushing a story. When you interview Caleb Walsh and ask what's next, what's he say? Can he fight for a world championship? Walsh said he hopes to fight for a Zuffa boxing belt later this year. Yeah, this is just Eddie Hearn just trying to stir the pot. But fair questions. Eddie Hearn just doesn't like it. He says, if you're not really going anywhere and you've got the option to join the league, it's a great deal. I agree with that. He says, if you've got a brain and you want belts and you want legacy, I think it's a disaster. Again, I don't think Zuffa knows yet what they want to do. Dana definitely doesn't. The guys behind the scene have written down on a napkin how it's going to look, but I don't think they know boxing. You guys can go read the rest of the article. It's a bit long. Well, it's not that bad, but let me read this to you here. The wonder is how Zuffa boxing, with the reported $10 million annual backing of Saudi Arabia boxing financier Turki Al-Sheikh, the Paramount deal, and the support of his corporate giant TKO, which houses the UFC and WWE, will flex his potential financial muscle. Look, I don't know, but they call Teofimo Lopez the takeover, but goddamn, but it look like Zuffa boxing, Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh may be the real takeover. But I do like that part where if they can't get a fight, the fighter still gets paid something. I like that. The rest of the stuff, I'll be honest with you, that shit's above my damn head. Way above my pay grade. I ain't worried about it. But I'm going to sit back here and see how it all plays out. And it all starts, today, right? It all starts today. Anyway, man, time for me to go run some errands. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans of all 7 continents. Y'all in the breeze.